Good morning, baseball fans. Welcome in to a new edition of the Batter Up podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here, Sports Insanity Network. Mike, Dan, Mark with you. Now, technically, opening day occurred already in Japan, but we don't care because that wasn't on American soil. This is our final episode before opening day Thursday.
Before true opening day.
True opening day.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, how we doing?
I'm nervous.
Dan and I couldn't have waited the same amount of time.
You just stepped on each other.
Dan, since you did talk first, please have the floor.
No. I mean, I don't know how this Yankee season is going to look like now that they're all banged up and crap. So I'm nervous. Olaf Sky, how are you?
I am doing fine. Finally, the weather is warming up to the point where I don't have to have 5 blankets on at night, and I'm not freezing to death taking the kids out to the bus. But otherwise, the old Ops guy is doing good.
You know what I did earlier this week? I wore shorts outside. Guys, it's getting to that weather. And if you know me, love shorts weather.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what even better? If you had Kentucky bluegrass and you're playing on dirt, you know.
I can play a little banjo. Sitting in a little lawn chair playing the banjo. All right. But Dan talked about the Yankees. Today, we are going to predict not only the American League, we'll recap what we picked for the National League as well, and then we will give our prediction for the World Series, which doesn't seem like it's that. It seems far away, but we know baseball season, and it will go like that.
Because
summers go by quick.
Yeah, and as soon as we start hitting the summer, we're not just talking baseball. We got football into the fold. So
then you get football, and then stuff hits the fan. But we're here talking about America's pastime. Last year, the American League was won by Dan's beloved New York Yankees for the first time since 2009. So, Dan, let's start with the American League East. From the bottom up, how do you see the American League East playing out?
So, I mean, I feel horrible for the Rays, but I think they'll be at the bottom. I think after that, I don't know who will be after that, because the Blue Jays, even though they may not be on paper when everyone's healthy better than the Yankees and the Red Sox, the reality is the Yankees are banged up. I don't know like what type of season the Yankees are going to start off like. So I don't know where the Blue Jays or the Red Sox or the Orioles are going to end up. Right now, if I had to guess, I still think Yankees 1, Red Sox 2, Baltimore 3, and Toronto 4, with the bottom being Tampa Bay. But then, of course, I say that I don't know what Tampa Bay is going to do, because every year they surprise us with some prospect that came up, and then all of a sudden he rakes, and it's like, well, God dang it! Like, well, how am I supposed to know about this?
Also, yesterday, Shane McClanahan, who was scheduled to start opening day, he left his start with the trainer in the middle of the third.
Right.
So
That sucks.
we are waiting to hear what the injury could be to Shane McClanahan.
So yeah, I have no idea what the Rays are going to look like.
Yep.
But right now I can predict that they're at the bottom. I'll say that. I have no problem saying that.
All right. Old Ops guy, how do you see the AL East playing out?
I agree with Dan with Tampa Bay being at the bottom. Not playing in your own home park, I think
Mhm.
that's going to have a little bit to do with a little bit morale destroying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if there's anything the Rays cannot afford is morale problems.
Mhm.
And I think Dan said it eloquently, like who is going to be next because we don't know until the season starts. But in my opinion, the way I look at it is you got Toronto next because with all the controversy with Vlad Guerrero Jr. that you have to think by the trade deadline, unless they're in first place, they're gonna move him somehow or some way. The Red Sox are a whole new team, so I got them at 3. With all the injuries, I have the Yankees at the 2. Things change, people come back from injuries, and that can change. And I have Baltimore right now at the 1.
Mm.
I mean, I don't I understand why. I understand.
I mean, it wasn't taking a axe and cutting it. It's just talking about it as it is. The Yankees have had more injury problems than most teams in during spring training.
Yeah.
And two important pieces.
Exactly.
Garrett Cole, done. We have no idea what's going on with Giancarlo Stanton.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's another story that
You,
we're
you
waiting
know,
to hear about.
so
We were talking off air, and we can go in more in depth on the Yankees later if
Yeah,
we. But I'm just saying, the, the, the Yankees have a lot of issues
mhm.
all of a sudden. We don't have a true third baseman. We don't have a true. Well, I can't say that because Max Fried is at the top of the rotation, but of course we have monitor Max Fried because we don't know if or when he's gonna get hurt.
Right. And you can't trust Carlos Rodon because he's been up and down the first 2 years.
Mhm.
better second year than his first year. I will say that.
Right. No Luis Heel, no Clark Schmidt to start the year, but apparently they're just building him up and to
Yeah,
start.
he's on a pitch count, so they don't want to waste him early. That's the vibe that I'm getting.
Mm.
Um, so they'll wait till May or June or whatever, and then they'll throw him in there. But of course, he could be rusty when that happens. So, uh, uh,
Right now, people are saying, thank God they didn't trade Marcus Stroman.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy. And me and Bill, we're gonna go more in depth on the Yankees later when we do Bombers Banter live here on the YouTube channel. Um, we don't even know, you know, what everything looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's brutal. So yeah, no, Olaf, I don't blame you for taking the Orioles. I don't.
Yeah, as I said, it was not to start a war between Dan and me. It's because of all the injuries that I can't. If you still had Garrett Cole, I would probably put the Yankees at 1. But the loss of the pitching is would make me nervous as a Yankee fan. You know the Yankee lineup, has been hurt, but will produce runs. But again, if you put 11 runs up on the board, but the other team puts up 12, it doesn't matter. Pitching is probably the most valuable thing right now. So that's where I was going at with it.
I really
I'll
think
take
two.
personal shots at you during the season.
I really think 2 through 4 in this division, or 1 through 4 in this division, is interchangeable. I think there's a possibility of 4 teams winning the AL East. I am sorry, Tampa Bay, you're not one of the four. The Shea McClanahan injury, again, until we figure out what it is, that's a crusher. I agree with what you said, Mark, about the stadium.
Yeah.
They're going to be playing at George Steinbrenner Field.
And sorry, Mike, I don't mean to cut you
Go ahead.
off. You're the Tampa Bay Rays, and you're going to play in a stadium that was named after the Yankees owner. I
Mhm.
don't give a crap.
Yeah.
They could have found another stadium that doesn't have that type of controversy.
Yeah, and look, they're gonna do their darnest to make sure there's no Yankee signage, but I mean at the front of the stadium, you're still gonna see George Steinbrenner.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
gotta be a strong.
there's gonna be some evidence of Yankee stuff, including Yankee offices. The Yankees are being generous and giving up their main offices at Steinbrenner Field for the Rays operation, but the Yankees are still gonna be located there. You're gonna be reminded of that. Like,
That's that's
I don't
that's
know if I
fair.
like that. I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
By the way, I feel horrible. The Rays in the city of St. Petersburg broke their deal for the state.
yep.
Yeah.
Um,
They got to figure something out quickly. Otherwise, it's relocation time.
look,
Well, it's only time before MLB, Major League Baseball steps in here because you're not only dealing with a team that has had unimpressive attendance. I mean, between them and the Marlins, but they're playing in a AAA stadium. If you're gonna move a team now, Tampa Bay would be the most attractive team to move. Maybe to Montreal, maybe somewhere into the Midwest, you know. But that would be the only team I could see
Yeah.
being
Yeah, you're
moved.
not moving the Marlins because Marlins Park is,
hmm.
I don't want to call it brand new, but it's newer than the Trop.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
I
mean,
mean, when you saw the devastation that the hurricane took to that stadium,
Oh,
I worked for the Tampa Bay organization when I was the operation manager up here for the Hudson Valley Renegades. And all I said was, I really feel bad for that operations guy. He's got to go pick all that crap up.
yeah.
But I was like, that it was just sad to see that stadium ripped apart.
yeah.
Oh.
Um, I don't know. Like, I've heard Orlando want to give a crack at it. Um,
Interesting.
Nashville want a baseball team, whether it's via expansion or relocation. Maybe they can entice the Rays with Nashville. Now that would mean a MLB realignment because you're not going to have a Nashville team in the American League East. That just doesn't make any sense. Um, but just ideas, I guess.
Yeah, they would have to realign something.
Maybe move a Pittsburgh Pirates over to the East or something.
What
Uh,
I've heard is them realigning based on forget American and National League for a minute, and they would put like the Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Red Sox, maybe the Pirates in one division.
Mm.
The South would, the Marlins, Braves in another, but
Do
who
you know
knows?
how dangerous it would be to put the Yankees and the Mets in one division? Like, I mean,
They're not thinking like,
the whole
oh,
city would
please.
riot.
listen, they are thinking about television ratings and ticket sales. They don't care. The city can burn.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, I got the Rays last. I'm putting the Orioles down in fourth, and I love the Orioles. I love their position players, but I don't love the starting pitching. And I do know they just brought in Kyle Gibson. That doesn't move a needle for me. You lose Corbin Burns. Grayson Rodriguez is going to miss some time. I just don't love the Orioles pitching. Three, I've got the Yankees, mainly out of respect for Aaron Judge, and they're going to find their way to win some games here. Two, and this is my dark horse of the whole American League, the Toronto Blue Jays. If there was ever a year for the Toronto Blue Jays to figure out what the hell is wrong with them, this would be the year.
Yes.
Because you entice Vlad to stay. Bichette's still a good player. I love the addition of Andres Jimenez up the middle. And then that rotation with Gosman and Barrios, Mark's guy, Max Scherzer, since they're about the same age.
Hey, actually, we are the same age.
And Mark will attest to this. The guy who's the darkest horse in this rotation is Alek Manoah. And I love me some Alek Manoah. And if he can regain that all-star form, he's an ultimate X factor for this team. And I got the Red Sox winning the division. I love what they did this winter, adding Garrett Crochet, adding Ferris Bueller, adding Alex Bregman to a team that wasn't supposed to be good last year. Up until September, they were in the thick of things in the wild card race. And I will take Alex Cora over every manager in this division. The only thing that'll kill this team is injuries. And God only knows it's going to happen. But I have the Red Sox win the AL East.
I don't know if it'll be the Red Sox. I mean, it's a understanding why. I mean, you picked out a good team. They have, and I agree with you on Alex Cora. I just think when the Yankees get their pieces back, except for Garrett Cole, who we know is lost for the season, the Yankees will make that usual end of May through August push to put them within a game if they're even trailing going into the fall season.
Hmm. All right, so that's the American League East. Mark, how do you see the Central playing out?
Well, the Central is another dog in and of itself. We can easily calmly say that the Chicago White Sox will be at the bottom. I mean, if they do anything spectacular, hey, good for them. But otherwise, I don't see them doing much. Following right behind them, and this division is another division that has a lot of winners in it because the teams are just gotten better. I have the Minnesota Twins at the two spot at the fourth spot. With the loss of Royce Lewis, which is a big loss. He was having a good spring. Followed by, I mean, I hate even putting the Detroit Tigers where I have them. I even went back and forth, but in the third spot in the division. If Torkelson and gang can put it together, they could be a very dangerous team. You got the Cleveland Guardians who always been towards the top of this division over the last few years. When you got guys like Jimenez, Ramirez, and they can be unstoppable at times. So, and then the team to win it, the division wise, will be the Kansas City Royals. I mean, a big loss for them with Bobby Witt Jr. being injured. The exact amount of time I have heard is
I,
anywhere.
I think he's good, isn't he?
He's still been, they've still been cautious, and there's been talk he might start on the IL. But otherwise, his wrist, there was no break or anything on the wrist. They were just taking it very cautiously. But Kansas City will win the AL Central.
Yeah, I have it's a race between Kansas City and Detroit this year for me.
Mm.
I think Detroit and their young studs and some of the big time additions to some veteran leadership, that's going to help tremendously this season for a young squad. So, as of now, because of experience, I have the Royals winning. I know they're also a little banged up, but I'm not too concerned. Beginning of the season, this is more of an end of the year issue if it becomes one. But I don't expect the Royals to be banged up for too long. I think the Royals will win. Then it'll be the Tigers. The Guardians I have at three. Um, Minnesota at four, and then the White Sox. Though here's what I say about the White Sox, even though they're going to be dead last. I need to see a big year out of Luis Robert Jr.
And he
I
will
think he
change
needs to have a big year.
and he will change uniforms by the trade deadline because
Yeah.
that's what the White Sox do.
But I mean, let's just say they want to keep him though. He needs to have a big year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, they have to have somebody for the people to come and watch.
Yeah.
Is there a statue of Frank Thomas outside of the ballpark? Just watch that.
Oh God. The Minnesota Twins are interesting though because they're not terrible. I just don't think they're a top team, but they're not a terrible team. They have some studs. I just you just can't trust them to, you know, always compete. So yeah, the Central is going to be pretty interesting out of the top two.
My thing on Minnesota is I don't love their pitching,
Yeah.
and their best players are always banged up. Mark, you brought up Royce Lewis. He's always hurt. If he's not hurt, he's hitting dingers.
Right.
Byron Buxton,
And that's the problem.
yeah. Byron Buxton, great player when he's on the field. Keys part in that sentence when he's on the field. Carlos Correa, love him. He's going to probably get an IL stint at some point. I'm with you, Dan. This team can be really good. It's just kind of they're there. Um, I'm gonna go the opposite of you guys. I'm gonna have the Tigers win the AL Central.
Okay.
I love Tarek Skubal. I love bringing back Jack Flaherty at the top of that rotation, and then let the rest play out. Offensively, this has to be the year of Spencer Torkelson. Otherwise, he'll be playing somewhere else. But the other guy they really need is Javi Baez. They signed him to that massive deal, and he's produced about as much as I have for the Detroit Tigers.
Gleyber Torres is doing more in the spring than Javi Baez has
Right.
done.
Riley Green is a really good young player, too. So I got the Tigers at one. I'm putting Cleveland at two, mainly out of respect, because I want to see Kansas City overtake them before I put them there. Then
how
I got
about
Kansas City, the Twins, and the White Sox.
how about Bybee getting an extension right before the season?
Oh yeah, Tanner Bibby,
Yeah.
and they brought back Shane Bieber, who knows when he's going to pitch. All right, so that's essential. Dan, how do you see the West playing out? How the West was won?
Um, well, this will be um the West is always interesting because I don't I'm trying not to put Houston at the top, but it's so hard because they always come out swinging.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to put them at the top to start out. Um, I can't trust the Mariners anymore. Like I'm putting them probably fourth. The only reason why I'm putting them fourth is I think the A's are gonna be dead last. But like But even then, like the A's, because they had to satisfy the union and Major League Baseball's demands on signing players, they got better all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but right now, what I'll do is I'll put Astros one, Rangers two. Three is going to be a chase between the Mariners and the Angels. I'll put Angels, the Mariners, and then the A's.
Okay. Mark.
Well, I'm kind of laughing because as I've watched Jose Altuve play left field the last couple of days,
Yeah, what are they doing, by the way? Why?
I
Why?
needed that entertainment.
I understood if Bregman was coming back and you wanted to kick Bregman over this thing.
Yeah.
Now I just have no idea.
Like, what are you doing?
I mean,
Although,
He
that
looks
was
I,
kind of fun.
although I'll say this: a ball over his head is likely out of the ballpark anyway. With the Crawford boxes out there.
Yeah, he's an ant out there, bro. Like what? Like seriously. Yeah, he looks like a fucking dumbass when it's not even close.
I mean, this is basically the major league movie division if you could ever pick one. The Athletics are going to finish dead last. I have no worries about saying that. And then the rest of this league can probably surprise you. I would like to see Seattle return to the top of the league. That's only if they can figure out how to hit the ball, which they couldn't do for 4 months last year. I would love to see a resurgence year from Mike Trout. It would be nice, but I don't think there's enough there on that team to propel it to the playoffs unless Mike Trout hits 100 home runs. And then you got Houston, which has slowly seen its team diminish over the last few months. And then, as we were just making the joke, they were trying Jose Altuve out in left field. And I could honestly say my 5-year-old could do much better. Um, so the way I have it out, it's and you'd be a little bit surprised here. Oh, also Texas. Who knows what Texas is going to be until they put a full squad out on the field. So here's how it's going to go. It is going to go Seattle, Houston, Texas, Angels, Athletics.
Wow, you're taking Seattle.
Yes.
I presume that's just because of the starting pitching.
Well, I would say at least that's half of it. And then the rest, what's on the team helps make the push higher than others. The pitching for the Mariners is no secret. It's probably top three in the AL this season.
I mean, go bigger. Top three in baseball.
Fair enough, too. Exactly.
That rotation is sick, which is why I'm so disappointed they didn't go out and add that impact bat
And
during the
which they
winter.
needed. I mean, I would have gotten a Paul Goldschmidt. No offense to Dan that he's with the Yankees, but at least put a bat, and he wasn't that expensive. A
Christian
bat.
Walker signed for 20 million a year in your own division. I mean, 20 million a year for 3 years. It's not like it's an 8-year deal. I'd say, okay,
Right.
maybe you don't like the term. 3 years.
Seattle is in a poor, excuse me, been losing my voice lately. Seattle isn't a poor team,
No.
but they're just careful on how they spend. The thing they needed was an impact bat to protect J-Rod. Sorry, I took a lot of time from Dan there.
No, you're good. All right, so I'll go last. I got the Rangers winning the division. I'll get into Houston in a second, but as an everyday lineup, I think Texas is the best one in the division. And I just pray, I hope and I pray that a guy who wears 48 for the Texas Rangers can stay healthy. because baseball needs Jacob deGrom to stay healthy.
Let us trade for him back, and then he start the year for us in the sixth spot, slowly moving back up to the three spot.
Yeah, we'll give you Tyler McGill and a cardboard cutout. That'll be the trade. So I got
And
Texas.
Bill Murphy.
So I had Texas win the division, followed by the Astros. Look, I don't know what the Astros are going to look like. I hate the Altuve thing. I really still don't understand the whole Kyle Tucker trade either. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for me, again, is the rotation. Framber Valdez hasn't pitched like an ace in 2 years. Hunter Brown, I need to see it. Arrighetti, who pitched pretty well last year, I need to see it again. And I mean, I don't like kicking or doubting the Astros, but I need to see it before I believe it this year. 3, I got the Mariners already mentioned. I hate the fact that they didn't get a bat. And we all know they're not going to pay a price at the deadline for one. 4th place, the Sacramento Athletics of Oakland of future Vegas. I like the A's. They got young players. Love the Severino addition if he could stay healthy, which he was for the most part last
I
year.
was about to say, if he can replicate what he did for the Mets, that's a win for them.
That's a huge win for the A's. And then I got the Angels in last place. Look, Mark, you hit it. Mike Trout's not healthy. He's never healthy, which is sad. Anthony Rendon is still sitting on his couch collecting paychecks.
Out for the season.
He's
that?
out.
Right.
You know, I have to hope Jorge Soler and Taylor Ward are these big time additions. I love Ron Washington. I just don't see it for the Angels this year.
Unfortunately, not.
They need Angels in the outfield to come save them.
Look, 28.
They need all the Angels.
Sorry, Dan, didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
2018, when Shohei came in, only the thing, and we talked about it on the network. All we were saying was World Series, Angels, World Series, and it just never got there because whether it was Trout being injured every year, or then Shohei had the UCL and the shoulder. There was one of the best combinations in baseball in the last decade that could have been the most dangerous, and it just never developed. Otani's got that, already has that going in with the Dodgers. I would want to see Trout have a monster year. Even if they don't make the playoffs, I want
Yeah.
to see him hit 50 home runs.
Well, the big thing for him is going to be the games played column. Like if he can play 110 games this year or 120 games, that'd be so big, not only for the team but for the sport.
Right.
So I mean, his health is crucial. Rendon, we already know he's not going to play. They got to find a way out of that deal. But again, that's a whole nother conversation.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be so hard.
Let me see how much is left on it anyway.
I mean, if anybody wants to see Trout stuff to go up, it's me. I have a ton of his baseball cards, so
Yeah, well, we're also rooting for him because he's a great player.
well,
Oh,
look at his. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Rendon is signed for this year and next year. He's up after next season. So a 1-year buyout may not be out
It
of
makes
the realm of possibility.
Right. It makes the most sense.
unless he decides just to retire, and I don't know how the money works at that point.
Please.
But yeah,
Um, uh, uh, Mike Elias from the Orioles just said that Gunnar Henderson's beginning the season on IL. Um,
that's not a good thing.
Intercostal strain is what they're calling it.
So
Hey.
that's oblique.
Yep. We've heard that term plenty of times in the world of
I
the
mean,
Mets.
that's
That's at
minimum.
least 6 weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna say minimum a month, but yeah,
That's brutal.
that's a big loss.
You need his bat. Yowza.
And and I'm not sugarcoating it. That's probably the third best player in the division when you're talking positionally,
Mm-hmm.
because you probably go Judge, Vlad, and then Gunnar Henderson, and then Rafi Devers. So, all righty, Mark, who is your American League MVP?
My American League MVP will be kind of a shock, but it's going to be Alex Bregman
Ooh,
of
okay.
the Boston Red Sox. I think the trade is going to light a fire under him and he's going to have a monster year there. I think he's going to lead in a lot of categories. And this wasn't to take a cheap shot at Dan or anything. I truly think that Bregman signing to the Red Sox was one of the best moves of spring training. And I like him for this. I see him just going off and having that great of a year.
All right,
The-
Dan.
Um, I still have Aaron Judge until someone from the American League pops out and hits a trillion home runs and has a trillion RBI. But I'm sorry, it's Aaron Judge until I see something else. And I know this is probably partial bias because I love Aaron Judge, but another part of me is like, who else from the American League is going to be as good as he is?
No, that's fair. I'm in the same ballpark as Mark. And I say this every year that this guy is going to win an MVP, but I'm saying Rafi Devers.
Okay, that's a
I,
good one.
and my big thing, and the reason why I didn't say Judge, Dan, is I don't know who's hitting behind Judge. So if I'm a pitcher, I'm not pitching to Aaron Judge. He
Mhm.
could have an on base percentage of 850,000 or whatever, because I'm not pitching to him if I know Stanton's not behind him.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
may be Austin Wells at one and then Judge two. That's some of the lineup projections that I'm getting.
Yeah, but again, who's hitting behind him? Jazz,
No, it'd be
Goldschmidt.
the three hitter would probably be Bellinger, and then Goldschmidt would be the four.
Mm.
Of all the Yankees, Bellinger's the one I want to see have a great year. I like Cody Bellinger since the time he came up in LA. I was angry the Mets never made a play for him. I understand why they didn't, and that's fine. I truly hope he has that off the chart year and he gets back on track to being what he could be, what he should be.
Mm. All right, Dan, who wins the American League Cy Young Award?
Cy Young Award winner. Um, I don't know. Get back to me on that one. I
All
don't know.
right, Mark, you got one?
I do. It was a little bit tough coming in between a few teams, but I like Luis Castillo from Seattle. I
Okay.
his stuff has been getting better every year. And I truly like fact that they're giving him the ball to start the season. I like the combination of pitches he throws. The thing that's going to come down is, can the Mariners lineup get him wins?
Here's what I will say. Give me Scooble for the Cy Young.
That's where I'm going. This dude is electric.
Yeah, I had to think about it for a second, but
No, listen,
Scooble, he's tremendous. Like, it's gonna be really exciting to see him. Another year, young stud, probably gonna be a big time pitcher when he hits the market, whenever that will be. Hopefully, never for the Tigers. But
Tigers got to sign him long term.
excuse me, but like, yeah, no, he's an electric pitcher. I'm going Scooble.
Yeah, that's a good answer because I'm going Scoople too. All right, and then American League Manager of the Year. I'm going with your guy, Dan. I'm going AJ Hinch. I think this is a big year for the Detroit Tigers. I really do. And I think they're listen, I know why Stephen Vogt won it last year. There was a really good argument for AJ Hinch last year as well.
I mean, it should have been. I think they're being very generous to the Guardians.
The
I
Galaxy.
I agree with Dan. I mean, Mike.
I didn't say anything. I'm gonna say Alex Cora.
Okay. All right. So there you have it. Those are the American League Awards and Division winners. Let's recap what we said last week in the National League, Mark, if you remember.
Okay.
Just go through what you had in the National League.
Oh God, you're asking me to remember exactly what I did.
I don't remember.
All right, if you don't remember, you don't remember. All right, forget it.
I mean, I could find my.
I
Go
think,
get my
whereas
notebook.
they Mets in the East.
Yes.
I definitely said that.
I think you both had the Mets.
I know I had Pittsburgh.
We all had the Dodgers winning the West.
Yes, and I know I had Pittsburgh in the Central.
Okay. All right. Anyway, if you want to find out what we had in the National League, go back and watch last week's episode of Batter. And you can check it all out. All right. Before we dive into what we're going to pick for the World Series, I want to go through this because every team has announced their opening day starter. So we'll go through the matchups really quickly. Brewers play the Yankees. Freddie Peralta versus Carlos Rodon. Orioles and Blue Jays. Zach Eflin against Jose Barrios. Red Sox Rangers. Garrett Crochet and Nathan Eovaldi, former Red Sox.
Sorry.
Phillies and Nationals. Mark's guy Zach Wheeler taking on Mackenzie Gore. Guardians Royals. Tanner Bibby, as Dan mentioned, new contract, taking on Cole Reagans.
Good game there.
Mets and the Astros. Clay Holmes against Framber Valdez.
That's going to be a fun pitching duel.
Giants Reds. Logan Webb against Hunter Green. Braves Padres. Ironically, the Padres ended the Braves season last year.
Yeah.
Chris Sale against Michael King. The game everyone's looking forward to, Angels and the White Sox. UC Kikuchi and Sean Burke. Pirates Marlins. This is the only reason to get excited for a Marlins game. Paul Skeens and Sandy Alcantara.
Let's call it as it is right now. Alcantara's not pitching more than 3 innings. I don't care if he has a no-hitter going. They're coming off of Tommy John surgery. Give me Skeens all the way on this.
Twins, Cardinals, Pablo Lopez against Sonny Gray. Tigers, Dodgers, Tarek Skubal against Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
That's gonna be fun.
Cubs, Diamondbacks, Shota Imanaga taking on Zach Gallen.
I should win that.
A's, Mariners, Luis Severino against Logan Gilbert. And Rockies, Rays was Kyle Freeland against Shane McClanahan. But with McClanahan getting hurt yesterday, we don't know who's going to replace him
Right.
in the Tampa Bay rotation. So those are your opening day starters on Thursday and Friday if you're looking at Rockies, Rays. All right. That time we've all been waiting for.
Lunch?
Well, I mean, sure, if you want an 11 a.m. lunch, sure. What's the World Series matchup look like, Mark? And who wins the World Series?
Am I allowed to be biased?
I mean, if you want to be biased, go for it.
All right. I have it coming back to the Dodgers and the Mets in the NLCS. And the Mets win it in 7 games. And as much as I would love to say I would love to see a Yankee Met World Series, that's not going to happen this time. The Mets are going to reface their 1986 rival in the World Series, the Boston Red Sox.
And you got the Mets winning.
Yes.
Yeah. Dan.
Coming out of the American League, give me the Boston Red Sox. And then coming out of the National League, I still have the Dodgers, And it'll be that classic matchup from years ago, 2018. And this time the Dodgers will prevail.
The only thing to sink the Red Sox lower would be Mookie Betts hitting a walk-off homer in Game 7. And Red Sox fans everywhere are going, he was ours.
Yes. When you look at the Boston Red Sox, I'm sorry to take this tangent-wise. You at one point had Xander Bogaerts, Mookie Betts. I mean, a ton of superstars, and now they're spread all the way across the country. This is the year the Red Sox just dominate. I don't talk about the Red Sox. It's like saying a curse word in my house next to the word Yankees. But
yeah,
there's something about this Red Sox team that I like.
Yeah, I like the Red Sox too. And I get it. Everything's got to go right when it comes from
right.
the injury standpoint, which we could say for every team. I just don't want to pick the Dodgers because I feel like that's could be such a slam dunk. So I'm going to go off the board in the National League. I'm going to go with you know what? I'm going to go with the Padres.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Padres winning the National League. I have no idea why outside of I just don't want to pick the Dodgers. And in the American League, I'm gonna pick the Red Sox too. I would pick Detroit, but I just think they're a little too young. I'll go Red Sox, Padres, and I think the Red Sox win the World Series. I love what they did this winter. Like I mentioned, I love Rafi Devers. I think he's going to win the MVP. I'm going to take the Red Sox to win the World Series. So we got a Mets, We got a Dodgers, we got a Padres, and we all have the Red Sox winning the American League.
Yeah.
I am sorry to the city of Boston for when the Red Sox finish in last place because it's never a good thing when
It's
three
not.
people on the same show.
I'm telling you that it's not gonna
It's
happen.
like a jinx, basically,
But can you imagine? Can you imagine though?
but look at that team.
Alex Cora is going to call me later and be like,
Yeah.
"Why? Why'd you do
What
this
did you
to
do?
him?"
Dan's gonna have a picket, gonna have people with picket signs outside his front door, marching in a big S, just back and forth. Why?
Nationals fans are outside Dan's place. Why did you pick us?
Uh,
It's just patchy. Oh, uh, I do want to end with a quick little conversation. I don't want to bring in the politics of it, but I want to say something because, Mark, we had this conversation about Pete Rose, but something else happened this week in terms of politics. I don't care what you think of people's politics. I don't care what people think about a lot of things. But whether it was his time in the service or it was his time on a baseball field, you cannot erase the memory of Jackie Robinson.
yeah.
He will forever be an American icon and a trailblazer. And trying to erase any sort of history he made is unjustified.
Yeah. I know you don't want to go there, Rifkin, but I will.
Go there. You could
You
go there.
know, the problem is, the Trump administration has so much animosity towards the last administration
Mm-hmm.
and all the uh projects and initiatives trying to bring equality to this country. I'm calling it like it is. The fact that he had so much to hold on that he is willing to have his Defense Department take away the military history of one of the greatest Americans of all time in Jackie Robinson, like that's a shame.
Yep.
It's a shame for the African American community. And look, I don't care about politics. I know nothing about it. This is
Mm-hmm.
not political, but you make it political when you target a specific race. And that's what infuriates me
Yep.
about what Donald Trump is doing right now. And the fact that he was able to do that. And then, of course, when asked when his administration was at, oh, hey, look, why'd you take it away? And then they had no answer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that tells me everything I need to know. So no, I will go there and I will say
That's
that
fine.
stuff because it's not okay, you know, to um just take away the history. Now, of course, like Griffin said, it was restored, but to take that away and act like we don't know your motive, it's ridiculous. And obviously, because of pressure from the public, it was
Yep.
brought back. But that's the only reason why it was brought back.
And I'd like to shout out Jeff Passan, who made us aware of said story.
Yeah.
He was very vocal about it. So shout out Jeff Pass. But you're 100% right, Dan. He's an
I
American.
couldn't agree more.
He's an American icon and a trailblazer, and deserves everybody's respect.
Yeah. And to Jackie Robinson's family, I'm so sorry that you had to go through
Yep.
that. It's never I don't know why. It's never easy, to be a controversial figure, whether you're a controversial figure 70 years ago or a controversial figure now. It's never easy. I don't understand why the targets. It doesn't make any sense.
Nope. It doesn't. And we learn, we try to get better every day.
Mm,
But
yeah.
that'll do it for this edition of the Batter Up podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here, Sports Insanity Network. Mark, anything on the Dugout?
Well, what you can do is you can go on our YouTube site and watch
Which
last week.
we're on now.
Mm,
Yeah, you can watch last week's wrestling break, which ended up being a lot of fun and a lot of great color came out of that case. So go back and watch. Great information on wrestling. If you don't know a lot, I picked up a ton of stuff listening to Noah and Mike talk as we went player by player.
yeah.
So look for more fun like that coming up on with through the dugout with the boys here at SIN.
All right. Again, check out the YouTube page. Episodes of Batter Up, Mark's Card Breaks.
Mm.
Dan and Bill are live every Friday with SIP. Or are you guys doing it both
Monday and Friday.
Monday and Friday?
This Monday, we have a special episode, number 400, um, on record, obviously, number 400 episode. Well, we plan to have do a little special evening edition. Usually we go live in the mornings, but we'll do an evening show and shoot the shit for a little bit. Excuse my language. And then of course, like Rifkin said, Fridays, we were live in the morning. And then and Bill Murphy and I, we're gonna relaunch our Bombers banter for the 2025 season. So that's happening today, sometime in the afternoon. I think we said like 1:30 or whatever. But of course, if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and you have notifications turned on, you will know when we're live. So just pointing that out there. Subscribe. It's very easy.
Subscribe. Follow us on the socials: Facebook, the Sports Insanity Network, Twitter, S Insanity Real. Go to the website, thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. For Dan, Mark, Mike, we'll talk to you next week when real games have been played,
Mhm.
everybody. Have a good
Oh,
week.
peace and love.